of energy beyond belief, or most human conception. You'd be surprised to know how much knowledge and communication can be carried on its wave.
Welcome to Mindscritcher for reframes that hit the spot where we break out of the self-imposed prison of the mind. I'm your host, Lindsay, and we are going to talk about something a lot of people quietly hold on to. That one last conversation. The one where you finally say everything you didn't say and hear everything hidden from you before. Where they finally understand you and you understand them. Where they apologize or explain or give you something. Anything that makes it all make sense. Something that somehow undoes the damage done. The belief is simple. If I can just talk to them one last time, I'll get closure. But here's the hard truth. That conversation you're imagining, it usually doesn't give closure. In fact, it often does quite the opposite. Let's break this down. When you think about reconnecting with someone who is toxic, what you're really hoping for is emotional resolution. You want clarity. You want validation. You want peace. You want something that allows you to pack it all in a nice little box so you can move forward. And somewhere deep down, you may even want them to acknowledge the pain they caused, so your experience feels real, justified, and complete. That makes perfect sense. That's human. But here's the problem. You are expecting clarity from someone who created confusion, and depending on how toxic the individual is, they might actually take pleasure from creating that confusion intentionally. You're expecting accountability from someone who avoided it. You're expecting emotional safety from someone that proved they weren't safe. And when you go back into that dynamic, even for just one conversation, you are stepping back into the same emotional environment that hurt you in the first place. Let's talk about what actually happens in these conversations. Instead of closure, you often get mixed signals, partial apologies, deflection or blame shifting, rewriting of history, or worse, emotional manipulation disguised as sincerity. In my own experience, this last conversation was an opportunity for my abuser to compare me in great detail to the new romantic interest, belittle me one last time, explain the entire relationship that lasted several years was nothing but a sadistic game with my life, where the first place prize was complete control and possession, a game I had no idea was being played. And finally, an attempt to prevent me from trusting others. You have this conversation and suddenly, instead of feeling resolved, you feel confused again. Maybe even guilty. Maybe questioning your own memory. Maybe wondering if it was really that bad. Maybe even wondering if you deserve abuse. That's not closure. That's reopening the wound. Closure is often misunderstood. We think it's something someone else gives us, through their words, their apology, or their explanation. But real closure doesn't come from them, because closure isn't about their understanding. It's about your acceptance. It's the moment you say, I see what happened clearly now. I accept that this hurt me. I accept that they are who they are, and I choose not to keep revisiting this. Closure is not a conversation. It's a decision. Now here's an important distinction. A conversation involving apologies, explanations, and accountability can be meaningful, but not for closure. That kind of conversation is the foundation of reconciliation, and reconciliation requires something very specific. It requires consistent accountability, changed behavior, emotional safety, mutual effort. Without those things, a conversation is just words. And some people, this is important, are simply not safe to reconcile with. Not because you're unforgiving, not because you're holding a grudge, but because they have shown you repeatedly that they cannot meet you in a healthy, honest way. And going back for closure with someone like that is like asking the source of the wound to heal it. That's not how healing works. Healing happens when you stop waiting, when you stop needing them to understand, when you stop needing their apology to validate your pain, and instead you give that validation to yourself. You don't need someone else to validate your experience. Do you know why? It's your experience. You were there for every second of it. You validate it. You acknowledge, that hurt me. That wasn't okay. And I didn't deserve that. And then something powerful happens. You stop carrying the expectation that they will fix it, because you already started doing that for yourself. Forgiveness plays a role here too. Not forgiveness that says what you did was okay, but forgiveness that says, I'm no longer going to carry this weight. I'm releasing the hold this has on me. That kind of forgiveness doesn't require their participation. It doesn't require a conversation. It happens internally. So if you've been thinking about reaching out, hoping for that one last talk, ask yourself this: am I seeking closure? Or am I hoping they'll finally be who I needed them to be? Because those are two very different things, and only one of them is within your control. Closure isn't something you receive. It's something you create by telling yourself the truth, by making peace with what happened, and by choosing not to reopen doors that only lead back to pain. Some conversations are meant for rebuilding, but others are better left unspoken. Take care of yourself, and remember, peace doesn't come from going back. It doesn't come from negotiating with the past. It doesn't come from reopening old wounds. It comes from letting go and moving forward. It comes from you choosing you.